Hello. Welcome back. Hello, Andy.
Hello, Tattoo.
Hey. Yeah, do you
What's
like
going
that
on?
email I got today
I don't know. What email did you get?
with the picture?
Oh, yeah. That was a great email.
I know. I was going to send him your picture that you made.
Which is the best picture?
I'm going
of
to.
all
I'm
time.
going to send that to him. It'll make him laugh.
We may have new digs to show everyone next week. Well, we will. So we're going to do the show over there, which I think
Yeah,
we
I
should.
think what we said we're going to do is I think we're going to be moving the live Q&A to Mondays.
Yeah.
And we're probably going to do it at
Our new studio.
I know, but what time did you want to do that? I don't think we're doing it.
I don't want to do it during the day. That's stupid. I like it this time.
You like it this time?
I don't know. Well, Monday Night Football at some point would really upset me.
Right.
So maybe we do.
So maybe we'll do it at like six.
Yeah,
something like that.
So
it'll probably be start. Are we doing it next Monday? Like a week from today? No,
we're
Monday.
out of town.
Oh,
Well, no,
we're
we come back.
We can
do
back
it.
Monday. So Monday, we'll do it Monday. Probably it's going to be. We'll tweet it out and we'll put some information out, but it'll probably be around 6 o'clock. Do I look? I feel like I'm like either shrinking or I'm just feeling very, very low.
I think that's just.
Is it because you're putting me in the background and you're in the foreground?
I just think it's your perception of the way things truly
Oh,
are.
look, I just grew 3 inches. Perfect. Wonderful.
Yeah.
New vest.
A new vest.
Yeah. I give courtesy.
How many
Larry.
frickin' vests does someone need?
This is Larry. Called me. He said, "Listen, I saw a great vest. Would look great on you." I took his advice and.
Do you have any overcoats with sleeves?
No, I live in Florida, and I do have actually.
Seriously,
but they're
so
they're like golf type things. So
What are we talking about?
we have a lot to talk about. I mean, we haven't been on in is it 2 weeks?
I don't know.
A lot's happened in 2 weeks.
Oh my gosh, it's nonstop. Since
lot's
2020, so much happens every single day. It's hard to keep
Today
up
was kind of like I mean, much to do about nothing. Gold was down a little bit. Silver's been on fire, as we all know. Are you laughing at something?
Yeah, someone's commenting about your
Of course they are. Of course they are. Silver's been on fire. We're definitely going to talk about that. There's a lot to talk about with platinum, but as the people that have been watching for quite some time, we were talking about platinum to get involved when it was at 950, and now we're looking at 1275. I see somebody just said breakout or fake out. I don't think it's a fake out. I think that this is the real thing. I think that this is the real thing for silver. I had a couple of clients calling me saying, should we swap to gold? I said, I think it might be a little premature for that. I think we are on the precipice, the beginning of what I think is to come. I just told you I saw the interview with Michael Oliver, which I thought was great.
Premature golduation.
Yeah. I think we could say that on there.
Why not?
Yeah, you just might have coined a new word.
That's what it is.
Maybe we should make shirts. We bring these.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, Michael Oliver, he's out there pounding the table. He thinks $60 to $70 silver within 3 to 5 months.
Because everyone's upset about it's too early. Maybe we should do Tuesdays at 7 o'clock or something.
Well, I think you have something on Tuesdays, though.
We're not doing Tuesdays.
Well, during football season, I need to. That's like my day to watch Monday Night Football.
I know, but if we do it at 6, what do you care?
I don't care, but all these people say it's too early.
6 o'clock's too early?
Yeah.
You know what? Let's, how about this? Why don't everyone who's listening send an email into info@milesfranklinco.com because Jana likes nothing more than to get those emails. So send the email requesting the time that you would most like to see us. Go. You want to come?
No.
You have lipstick on?
I was just going to say the same thing. Yeah. Send an email. Tell us what time you think you want to do it. The thing is, in the new studio, there's going to be a lot going on. So there's going to be a limited amount of time. And I think Mondays are really a great day for us, but earlier on. And you can always catch the,
What do you think of the new studio?
studio.
It's pretty cool, isn't it?
I think the studio's great.
Yeah.
I think the studio's great. I like the carpet. I love the carpet.
Kevin.
By the way, I can't wait to. You think I'm going to get interviewed in that studio?
Not anymore.
Oh, if you're listening,
I didn't say it.
no, but you did like the carpet.
That doesn't bother.
All right, so let's tell me about the week. What'd you get?
What do you mean? What I get?
Well, what do you got? A lot of interviews you were doing. A lot of interviews.
I don't know. Let's do questions.
All right, so here,
I
got the first one that Jonna sent me this week, so I wanted to make sure that I asked it. So this one comes from Martin, and he says, hello. Just a short question. Considering the alleged or true gold holdings of the BRICS nations, why don't they just revalue the gold price to say 30,000 US dollars an ounce by simply saying, from today on, we pay you this amount? Andy and you guys are the most well-connected people when it comes to gold and macroeconomics. I would appreciate a discussion around this, the whys and why nots. Take care.
So I think because they're playing the long game. Everyone's, well, why not just buy it all up? They're playing the long game. They're siphoning as much as they possibly can from the system before we see anything that happens with gold. And you're right, it would benefit the BRICS nations. It might also benefit the United States with the amount of gold that's been coming into the country.
Well, when we were talking about with the BRICS and them actually not having it be backed but pegged, isn't that a big the big difference between that too? That they wouldn't say that they're not going to say, okay, now it's $30,000, but it's the U.S. It's the price in U.S. dollars that would equate to the BRICS currency. So that way they don't have to actually put up the money for the gold, but it's as our inflation goes higher, which they know it's going to, the price is going to move in the direction that they want it to. Therefore, it's going to increase their currency, which, was it Rickards that was talking about it? Yeah. It's a brilliant methodology.
They don't have to do anything.
Yeah, they just have to peg it.
If they try to compete with the BRICS nations, which it looks like they are, to accumulate gold, the price goes higher.
Right.
And
it's kind of a win-win for them.
If they devalue the dollar, which Trump wants, the price goes higher. But the BRICS nations aren't really thinking about, at this point, building a settlement currency or a common currency. It is a settlement currency, rather, instead of a common currency. They're using gold to settle imbalances. And you can see that by the Shanghai Metals Exchange wanting to put extensions of the exchange in Saudi Arabia, in Hong Kong, and then in Africa and South America for settling trades over their M-Bridge, over their bridge platform, their bridge network. And that is where you will see gold really start to perhaps be revalued or to move much, much higher, when the realization that it is being used as a de facto settlement vehicle, and also a preferred vehicle in lieu of U.S. Treasuries. So we're not there yet, but I think it's getting closer every day. You can kind of feel it.
Yep. Just a couple of questions that I'm seeing here that I want to kind of just go out there because let's see.
This back in 10 seconds.
Yeah.
Give me 1 second.
Let's just see here. It's there? Okay. Timeless tab. Why does gold continue to drop while silver is holding its own at 36 plus? I don't think gold's really continuing to drop. I mean, look, gold's had an unbelievable run. Gold is up right now year to date at today's number. I think it's about 31%, just about that. And I think that, anything that goes straight up is not good. So I think that this is gold's taking a breather. I don't think it's dropping. I mean, we're at 3,400. Silver's at 36 plus. One of the things that everyone should remember is when gold makes its move, silver very often lags behind it. But when silver does make that move, it's very, very fast and furious. So I don't think, it says, why does gold continue to drop? We're $100 for the most part off of the all-time high. I just said I think it's more of a back and fill.
Yeah, I think it's important. See, this is how the BRICS use. Most people think this way, and it's normal. Why is it falling? Yet it's outperformed virtually everything. It's up 40+% last year. It's up 30+% this year, and what I will tell you, as someone who's been doing this a long time, in every major conflict that I've ever seen, starting with Desert Storm, we expect the price of gold to go up. We expect the stock market to go down, and within a day or so of the skirmish or of a war happening. It's the opposite. And I think that's also being done by design to keep people from flocking out of currency into gold and silver, to make the markets appear stronger than they are. Look, as Chris Powell of GATA says, there are no free markets, just manipulations. And this is done by design to kind of, keep everyone calm. If gold were flying off the handle and the market was collapsing and the 10-year treasury was going to the moon like most people think it should,
you'd have panic.
You'd have panic, and that's what it is.
So
it doesn't change a damn thing, to be honest with you.
All right, Michael Church, platinum, big moves for platinum lately. Breakout or fake out?
This is the other Mike Church, not the one, not the radio.
No, we had this discussion last time.
I don't know. Look, I could see platinum outperforming silver for a period of time. I truly could. I mean, the dynamics behind platinum and its relationship to gold has been so skewed, very much like silver. But look, platinum's 30 plus times more rare than gold, and it's been held down tremendously. If you look at the COMEX, you see silver number 1, platinum number 2 in terms of concentrated short positions. I believe gold's number 3. And so there's been a vested interest. But when we talk about platinum, we go back to June 6th of last week. It was the highest volume that we've ever seen traded on the COMEX market in platinum, or the NYMEX market for platinum. We've seen, I don't know the exact number, I want to say 15% or so of all of the platinum on the exchange be delivered out recently. Platinum on the exchange is in backwardation right now, where that means that there's greater demand for it right now than there is in the future, because there's questions about just how much platinum is available and will they be able to get it. I don't know. It's very bullish signals going on right now.
Isn't the statistic that a room 25 by 25 is what? Is that what the
I don't know what
is?
It is. With
it's
platinum.
very small.
I know that they say gold could be in 1 or 2 Olympic-sized swimming pools.
Right, but platinum being that much more rare can fit in a room. I think it's 25 by 25.
But the majority of the mining comes from Russia and South Africa, and I think Zimbabwe. So from a standpoint of accessibility to it, look, all manipulations eventually end poorly. And platinum, my entire career up until a decade ago or less, was always way more than
3 times the value
at some point. Yes. And so, it's a good buy right now. It is.
If you had to answer the question, breakout or fake out, which do you think?
I don't know if it's either.
I'm going to say breakout.
I mean, it could be a breakout, or maybe it's neither. Maybe it's just reestablishing itself. It's coming back to reality. So it could be this big breakout, or maybe it just starts to creep higher and higher and higher to a point where it should be. I mean, if gold's at $3,300 and change, 3,400, platinum should be at 4,000. That's the truth.
Yeah.
And so does that represent a breakout? Yeah. Since we talked about it, in 60 days, it's up 40%.
Yeah.
And
by the way, we as a dealer, we ran out for a good portion of it.
It's impossible to find it, man.
I mean, the Eagles, I bought personally, and the Eagles premium is very, very expensive.
What's so different about metals markets that people need to understand is that when the price goes higher in any of it, when you own it and you reflect on the price going higher, if you were sitting right now on NVIDIA stock, when you realize that the second and third largest shareholder board members
just sold
$190 million worth in one day last week. The insiders are selling. If you owned it at a huge profit, you'd be silly to not want to either take some profit and move it elsewhere, put it into gold and silver, put it into treasuries, short-term, 6 month or less, put it into something else. Take that profit off the table. Put it into Bitcoin. I don't care where you put it, but put it somewhere.
Right.
That's what you're supposed to do. But with metals, well, that just reinforces the motivation that you employed to own it in the first place. And so in other words, what I'm getting at is the higher the price goes, no one wants to go back into fiat. Nobody does. Right. They hold it because they think, oh my God, whoever, this is happening. And metals are breaking out because things are concerning with the dollar, with the economy. Things are changing. I better hang on to it. No one sells. And so that's why there is no bull market like a metals bull market, because the secondary market dries up as it goes higher and people's motivation is reinforced along the way. So there's no secondary market for platinum. And the U.S., to my knowledge, hasn't even made Eagles this year. And you remember when they came out earlier this year and operations called us and said, if you want platinum, you got to kind of do it now. I need to get my allocations, and we sold a lot, but
but the demand earlier on was nothing like we're seeing now.
No, but if you tried to get 10 million in platinum, it wouldn't happen.
No, I mean, didn't you just have a very big order for it? We used the one that sold out of all the Brits, the platinum Brits that we had on special, because those are gone.
I don't know if I sold all of them, but I just know that
there were 14 left.
Yeah, it's impossible to get platinum right now with any certainty. Or
I know we still have those, which I did buy a bunch of those 10th ounce Brits, the 10th ounce platinum Brits.
I don't know. It just
they're
makes
not easy.
sense.
They're not easy to get them.
No,
so this one I got to just throw up because
I'm going to get my haircut tomorrow. Actually, we do have
the same barber, Tammy. And by the way, you don't want to screw with
Tammy
because I'll tell you, she'll cut a bit.
I like her, but I've seen her go off on people, and I'm always real sweet to her.
Yeah,
but she likes you.
We go to the same barber shop. Andy uses Tammy, and I use Tammy and this guy Roddick. But I'm so scared of Tammy that I switch off now every week, and I don't want to upset Roddick. So I go to Tammy when Roddick's not working. Is that bad for me to say that I'm scared of her?
No,
she's scary.
She is scary.
She's scary. I'm not really scared.
But in a nice kind of way.
Yes,
she would do anything for you and I.
Sweetheart, yes, without a doubt. But yes, we do actually have the same barber. All right, let's see. I saw this one, which I thought was interesting. This one's kind of a good one.
Given the U.S. government has had a close relationship with J.P. Morgan, is it possible that J.P. Morgan might be purchasing gold on behalf? Absolutely. Do I think they're purchasing on behalf of the U.S. government? When you see, $4.5 billion delivered by J.P. Morgan on the March contract for a client, it was Blythe Masters, who used to run their gold desk, said we don't buy it. It's always for clients.
Right.
Who's got $4.5 billion? And then we saw, I don't know, over $8 billion delivered in the May contract. Who has the? Yes, I do think that the U.S. government, and I think someone got to Trump in this current administration, Bessent or whoever it is, Judy Shelton, someone, and said, if you don't do this, you are creating a very, very, very big problem for the United States going forward. The world is draining the exchanges, and so since November, we have been net importers of gold. Huge deliveries month over month. And I've wondered a lot out loud, silently and out loud, is it the U.S. government? Is it the Treasury? I believe it very well could be.
Here's another one for you. Thought that was a good one. I think we get
Andy, when and if the COMEX defaults, how would gold and silver be priced in states with legal tender laws on the books? My guess is if the COMEX were to fail very, very quickly, there would be something that would fill its place. It would fill the void. There has to be a price setting mechanism. The bigger issue, if the COMEX failed, would be until something like it came up, how would dealers hedge any exposure? And they wouldn't. So there would be very, very small inventories and it would be too risky to hold large inventories, not knowing what's going to happen. So that would be a scary moment. Could happen. It would affect this industry hugely.
Okay.
More than the States.
I like this question. Gambet asks, good day from Australia, gents. Andy, your dad's advice requirement for you to buy precious metals each month, it was every 2 weeks, was clearly great advice. What would you personally have for kids today?
I would say the exact same thing.
Yeah,
I think the laws of compounding work for you.
And I think that these days, in most countries, the education system lacks this type of education. I think it's probably the most important education that we can give our kids is to save, is to make sure. And the thing that I love about metals with the younger generation is it's not nearly as easy, at least currently, to spend it. So it's almost like a forced savings that they can't there's a lot more things that they have to do to get rid of it than just spend it. It's not cash,
let me give you a story that
I like your stories.
That people could tell anyone who doesn't understand gold, and we can then at the end translate why silver should mimic this, and that is this. In January 2000, let's start today. Today, the average price of a home is $416,900, and so at $3,400, I did this the other day. So let's just call it 3,400. You need 121 ounces of gold to buy a house today for $416,000. Median price. those 121 ounces in January of 2000 with gold at 274 would have been 33,300. So when you think about the way that gold has appreciated, earning no interest, it was worth 33,000 25 years ago, and now it's worth 416,000, and it buys you a house. And so the message I would say is that silver hasn't accentuated itself because it's been held down. My advice would be to buy silver, and in a few, buy a few thousand ounces, and in a few years, it might buy you, in 10 years or 20 years, might buy you a nice home. But you let the laws of compounding work for you instead of against you. Anything besides saving in fiat, because this explains if you would have saved that money in fiat instead, and you put that 33,000 in a jar, well, okay, it's still a lot of money, but what does it buy you? The equivalent amount in gold in a jar, both earning nothing but dust. One is worth now 416,000 and one is worth 33,000, but the purchasing power since 2000 has evaporated of that 33,000. So these are the kinds of lessons.
I lost 30% at least.
Or more. It's lost 10% this year alone.
Right. Which, of course, as Andy said, Sally Thurston asks, your best guess, will silver hit 50 this year? I am a definite yes that I think it hits 50 this year.
I don't know. I've been victim to price guessing my whole career. I think in a world of probabilities, there's a high probability silver goes well past 50. When is
Well, I think that if we see, I believe that if this year, when we start to see, and I do think we'll see silver with a 4 in front of it, meaning 40. I think that from 40 to 50 is going to be a bigger, faster move than it was from 30 to 40. That's what I would say. Which one? And you better not try to put a helmet or a hat or. Well, it was in response to Andy putting the Vikings helmet on my head last time. Andy better not try to put a helmet or a hat or anything else on my head.
I just enjoy
I'm just looking around to see what else there is. You could slam a muzzle on those dogs. Well, no, it's probably the pizza that we got.
Oh, it's right here.
Oh, yeah, there. I agree, though. But Father Duck asks, you want to go to Father Duck just real quick? Yeah, I mean, listen, it was very fast. You guys, Duck, you remember just a couple of weeks ago, we were talking about platinum and we had a bunch of questions on it. It was 970, I think it was. Yeah. And it just flew. I mean, to 1275. It's crazy.
Can you please go to the start and take Eminem's questions or comments, because he's like making people.
To the beginning?
Just go to 8:15.
Where's Eminem?
On the start.
Mm-hmm. There he is.
Okay. Silver is embarrassing, and anybody pushing silver should be ashamed of themselves. An absolute dead duck that will never do anything. Buy silver if you want to lose all your money. I mean, in response to that, number one, I would say so far this year we're up just about 26.5%. Number two, the utility for silver is growing exponentially. We are getting less of it out of the earth. We've already taken down the low-hanging fruit. Most silver now is garnered as a byproduct of other mining. I think Eminem, I appreciate your opinion, but vehemently disagree.
Actually, I don't. I think he's kind of being a dick. If you want to know the truth, you're being a dick, Eminem. When you say, shame on you if you could come and look at the amount of silver that I own and go through my BRICS facilities and see what I own myself, I put my money where my mouth is. If you feel that way, why even watch this? Why even?
That's always my question: is if you believe it's embarrassing and that, and all.
Do you feel smarter now? I think he probably feels smarter.
He just read the second one, but I think that we should just probably block him and forget it. It's just a waste.
A waste of time.
Listen, I think that most of our viewers know and are probably much more intelligent, because those the comments that are being made, that's really the embarrassing part of it, because clearly it's somebody who's making those comments don't actually know.
Probably doesn't own any silver either.
I'm sure. Why would he? He thinks it's a dead duck, and it's we want to lose money. Let's go to Kevin. He's got a great name. All right. Kevin DeBella asks, hey guys, my questions with silver trading sideways the last few trading days, war breaking out, market rallying in its face. What's it going to take to get silver back in the upswing? So one of the things I don't think that a lot of people necessarily understand, and we were talking about on the golf course the other day, we actually think that silver holding up the way it is right now with the short interest on silver is a massive move. Even though it's not moving, it is a massive move. Would you agree with that?
100%. And someone said something earlier. Why is silver holding up at 36
and gold's dropping?
It's a big deal. The commercial banks have the second largest short position in history of the COMEX market ever. Why would they be doing this? And to me, it represents an existential threat to them. And one of these days, the challenging by the BRICS nations in particular, China, who are gobbling, one of the guys, Eric Young, the King Kong on Twitter says, look, China's playing the long game. Hold on to your silver. They're buying up everything they can across the globe. They're doing it for a reason. They see the future, one that is becoming harder and harder and harder to source silver at that level. Why do we see the largest delivery in the history of the COMEX in the May contract? So it's getting to the point where things are accelerating. And yeah, it has been frustrating. It has been counterintuitive. There is no question about it. And this is what I said to everyone who came into the market in 2021 during I was just on with Ivan today, right before you got here on Wall Street Silver. I said, look, people who bought it back then bought it for the wrong reason. They bought it to get rich. That is not why you own it. Now, asymmetrically, low downside, high upside, I think people who own enough of it will become wealthy. But that's not why I've ever sold it to anyone. And I think it's wealth and a system like I showed, just looking at the performance of the dollar since 2000 and its relative value holding up in gold and silver, it's been abysmal. Silver should be higher, no question about it, but it will have its day. That's all I can say.
So I have a question here from one of my clients, and he's actually one of my favorite people, Aaron Cooper. Helped his family out with one of those horrible IRAs that, it wasn't even an IRA. It was at home that his dad purchased and got bamboozled, but we were able to help him get out and able to get him back into some real metal that he's very, very happy.
Hold on a second. This M&M guy, you can't tolerate outside opinions. You're religious nuts. No, I'm not religious, and I'm not a nut. And you ought to learn how to say things in a different, little bit more respectful way. No one is pushing anything on anyone ever at my company. So
that is for sure.
That's the last thing I'm gonna say to this.
Yeah, don't even give him the time of day. All right, so Aaron, this one's for you. His question is: Andy said in an interview in relation to someone he knew who was related to the Rockefeller family, there would be two revaluation resets. One reset would be man-made. So, question one in relation to that. As to the first, how near do you think that reset is? And in relation to this, a statement was also made that foreign holdings, as in gold, silver money, would be possibly confiscated. Do you think we would be able to swap such foreign money at some point, or it'd be outright theft by the government? And three, since I hold a large amount of foreign coin, would it behoove me to exchange that for part two of the revaluation reset spoken of? And the last part of it is, if not that, then what would constitute the economic fundamentals facing us or global scenario for the second reset? What are we looking at for such a time as that? And by the way, Aaron, thank you for your service, military man.
Way to go, Aaron. Thank you. Absolutely. No, I mean, look, this is from Jim Sinclair, who said it to me at dinner one night, and Bill Holters talked about it a bunch. So, in fact, on my interview with Bill, who's a good friend, he mentioned it. So I don't have a problem mentioning it. It was just simply, he said that he's related to the Goldmans and Goldman Sachs, that his father's name was, what was his last name? It was,
drawing a blank.
Yeah.
Bullman moment.
I mean, I haven't thought about this in a little while. It was, I can't even remember. It'll come to me in a moment.
That's okay.
But Sinclair is his mother's name. His father's name was Seligman. I forgot his first name, but his last name was Seligman, and he unwound the Hunt Brothers position. He's a famous Wall Street commodity trader. He said, I was told by my relatives, who are the Goldmans and Goldman Sachs, that there would be two resets. One would be man-made, and that would fail, and then there would be one by Mother Nature. You could argue we're in the midst of this man-made reset right now. I mean, in many ways, it seems that we are. It's happening as we speak. And if it does indeed fail, if the entire system fails, he said that they would come in and confiscate everything that wasn't American-made. I know Bill believes it. Everything Bill ever writes through our company, that's what I just said, Seligman. Everything Bill writes, all the orders that he submits are American coins, like junk silver, like silver eagles, et cetera. So I don't, look, I think that natural reset could be a situation where the world, like Operation Sandman says, we've had enough of the United States, of their monetary irresponsibility, their fiscal irresponsibility, their rules, their sanctions, their warmongering, et cetera. I'm not saying this is my belief, but much of the world does believe this. And I think if there was a coordinated drop of treasuries and dollars at some point that really began to accelerate, think about what that would mean. All of those dollars would hit our shores, creating hyperinflation. Rates would spike, and in order to compensate for that inflation. And in that environment, stocks, bonds, real estate, the banks, the insurance companies, they all implode. And now you reset the system. That's how that would happen. And it would be tied to gold, I believe, this new system. I really do. It will be backing a new system, whether it be through the treasuries, like Judy Shelton says, or something more ambitious like the BRICS are doing. I do believe that gold has a role, and it's quietly being reintegrated into the system, which you could argue is in the process of the first reset. So the second reset would be a scary thing. It would be a collapse of the dollar, a collapse of the system, and a spiking of interest rates to levels that would reset everything. And then in comes gold. So how does that play out? Don't know. Let's hope we don't find out.
Exactly. All right, let's take a couple more of these. Here's a good one. Yeah. Why are premiums on silver more than 3 times gold premiums?
That's a good question. I've never really actually figured that out, to be honest.
I'd have to think that one part of it is the price of the metal.
It's logistics, I think, more than anything. Just the shipping and the moving of it is much higher.
Yeah.
And if you can make one coin for the same price of 100 coins, it's the manpower, it's the effort, it's the shipping, it's the logistics, it's all of it put together. We have nothing to do with that. It's certainly
we don't make the premiums.
Yeah.
Hold on, what is this? Alan.
No, did the Shanghai Gold Exchange really just buy COMEX, or is that just a rumor? High tattoo. I think that's a rumor. I think
you.
I think Vince Lancy, who is one of the sharpest dudes on the planet. I would suggest everyone follow Vince. I think he said that as a joke. No, I don't think they did, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
I think it was Vince who said that.
By the way, I'd love to know, everyone who's listening live, how many of you are coming to the Rick Roll conference? Love to know that.
It's next month.
Yeah,
I better figure out my speech. I'm in trouble.
All right. Platinum Eagles. Michael Church is asking how much Platinum Eagles are going for.
I don't think we have any.
We do. We have a couple, but I mean they're expensive. I think that the premiums on them are. Let me just say. I know that we might have run out of them.
We don't certainly have enough to even matter.
No. When I spoke to Matt, but we were a lot cheaper. I think that we were like at 14. I want to say that we were like 14.50. We were about 150 less than some of the other dealers out there. Just checking inventory right now while you're doing that.
Goodbye, Eminem.
Yeah, just get rid of them. You can block them too, I think.
I have no time for that.
There was a couple of things that I saw. Are we on Stored? We should probably go to Stored. Those are the ones that John is looking at. There we go. What about that one with the numismatic? Let's get a Numi in there.
Well, numismatic MS graded double eagles have a greater increase in price from the bullion coins and be less vulnerable to government windfall tax. I don't know about less vulnerable to the windfall tax, but you could argue that they do offer enhanced upside potential coming from where they are right now, where the premiums are low. You want to buy, I think you want to buy semi-numismatic. I wouldn't go higher than 64 grade in Saints and 63 grade in 20 libs if you want a really good value. they'll probably be the same price or real damn close to the price of gold eagles. And that is an area where, if you look at most of my career, it's been nowhere near that. So they are good values. They would offer, in that respect, higher upside. History has proven that to be true. In terms of the government windfall tax, I don't think that would matter one bit, to be honest with you. And if it has higher premium, you make more money, well, that windfall tax is probably going to get you worse.
So, yeah, let's go to Chris Scarpino. What's up, buddy? How you doing, my man? You want to discuss the Basel III changes and how they might affect metals? And then I want to go back to Chris's corner because I want to just show what Eminem, what an idiot he is. But
Okay.
yeah, answer this one, then we'll go back to it.
Can you discuss the upcoming Basel III changes and how they might affect precious metals? Well, it simply means that in order for the banks to be able to count it on their balance sheet as, in essence, a high-quality liquid asset, it has to be held unencumbered, not in futures contracts, in the vault. And so what that does is it greatly reduces the incentive to have large positions that are unallocated, that are paper positions. It should be very bullish for the price ultimately. And although there is some people are saying, well, why isn't it exactly tier one on par with the US bond market, which all of us were led to believe to some degree. In essence, it is. The banks view it that way. But if they were to put it on par, to say it is exactly a high quality liquid asset, the same as a treasury, it would, many believe, would greatly undermine the treasury market, like it already is with many of the central banks. So the central banks are behaving, especially with the massive deliveries that we're seeing off the LBMA and the COMEX. They're behaving like it is tier one, and they are rushing, scrambling to get it in their possession. And so I don't know, I think we could expect to see higher prices, more deliveries, and a shortage at the upper levels. That's the issue. It's interesting. If you want to talk about an interesting dichotomy right now you have over the last 4 weeks, you've had roughly $2 billion per week in institutional selling in the stock market. 4 billion the first week of June. These are massive, massive amounts of selling. You have Buffett sitting with 500 billion in cash, almost $500 billion. You have all the insiders out and the institutionals selling. At the same time, over the same period, you have a record participation with the retail mom and pop investors are more all in stocks than ever before. At 53% of all the stocks are owned by the retail, by the people. It's a very ominous sign. So on one end, you have the public all in on stocks. On the other end, you have the institutionals selling at a level we've never seen. Now contrast that with metals. On physical side, you have people asleep. That's why you have such low premiums. They haven't been buying. They've been into the risk on trade in NVIDIA and all these other stocks that are attracting them to the point of being the most heavily invested ever. And at the same time, you have the biggest money in the world. The central banks, the hedge funds, or the family offices, the sovereign wealth funds, they're all gobbling up and standing for delivery all of the gold and silver that is available. So it's interesting. At the very top, the smart money is buying commodities and selling equities. And it's the polar opposite when you talk about the retail, the street. Who's going to win that one, do you think? What could possibly go wrong? And so I would simply say that that we should expect to see not only these Basel III changes increase the demand for physical ownership of gold at that high level, and we're seeing that with all the deliveries, but I also think it's an ominous sign that you have the institutional selling equities and buying physical, and the opposite is true for the public. It to me is a contrarian indicator that we should watch and talk about over the coming weeks.
Agreed. And as much as, it pains me at times to give my boy here some props. Robert Hutchinson says, Andy, how many shows do you participate in per month? You are definitely one of the top 5 in educating people. Thank you for all the time you have spent waking us up.
Thank you.
Hands down, probably the hardest working person I've ever met.
I asked him that the other day. I love you, Kevin.
It's not even on a month. I mean, this guy is, when he's not actually on air, he is prepping. I mean, what you see is him on YouTube, but me, because I'm very familiar also with his personal life, he is prepping for everything that you see nonstop.
3 hours a day.
Always doing the research. I mean, and when he's not doing that, he's talking to me about the same thing that we're talking to you about. So even in that is more prep and banging ideas against each other. So trust me, as much as you see him all the time, he is constantly doing work, for you guys. So it's
I shut my phone off. I probably do 10 to 15 shows a week.
easy.
Sometimes more. And during the summer, those are all crammed into 3 days, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. So 4 to 5 shows a day. Things are going to change starting next Wednesday with our announcement that we can't make today that I really want to announce, but we're going to make some announcements next week. And I believe that things will slightly change the way that I'm doing things. I can't wait to tell you all about what's coming.
Yeah.
Next Wednesday.
It'll be great. It'll be great.
But thank you for that. It's a labor of love, and it's changed my life in a very big way. So,
and listen, I know that you've changed a lot of people's lives.
That's right. I'm not pushing anything on anyone.
Right.
I'm just trying to do what I do myself.
Go screw yourself, Eminem. All right. Linda V asks, do you think silver and gold will go down one more time?
Probably.
Yeah. I mean, look, I think that nothing goes straight up. And I think if you want to have a healthy move in anything, whether it's gold, silver, platinum, palladium, whatever the case may be, you always have to have levels. I think the best way to answer it is yes, I think silver and gold will go down, but will they go down lower past a certain point that used to be the resistance now becomes the support? So silver had a very difficult time for a long time getting above the 35 level. Well, 35 very well now could be the support.
It is.
Which was at one point the resistance.
It is.
So now we're going to look for 37 as the resistance. And once we get above 37, then we look again to the next level, which is probably, I would say, closer to the 40 level. And at that point, we'll see. Maybe the 35 support becomes 37. But it's never healthy for everything to just go straight up, no matter what it is, whether it's a stock, a bond, metal, a commodity, any other commodity. It doesn't make a difference. That's just the laws of economics.
Remember,
you have to have
silver is used in high-tech weaponry, and BlackRock is the primary custodian with JP Morgan of SLV, and they're deeply involved in other gold and silver ETFs, including GLD. They need it to make weapons, and that's why they've held the price down, to make high-tech weapons so that they aren't crowded out of the silver space in order to build the weapons, in order to blow up countries like the Ukraine and then come in and get the reconstruction projects. BlackRock does. It is a military industrial complex suppression scheme that is coming to an end because the rest of the world is wise to it. They were never coordinated or motivated or sophisticated or wealthy enough to stand up to the United States. They are now in unison, in coordination. And you just got Singapore that just over the weekend, they're opening up an exchange. You're seeing all of the demand move eastward and to challenge the West in pricing, not just, the supremacy of the West, the Western rules-based system has benefited the West. And not only have they used the military to keep that in check, but it's benefited us in commodity pricing, in printing of currency, and all of these things. It's slowly moving eastward. And when you see exchanges popping up in Singapore, when you see the rise and the legitimacy of the Shanghai exchange, the BRICS gold market that's being built, the Russian market, the market in Dubai, all of these systems are being built to challenge the West for paper price supremacy. And it won't be paper. It will be the real price because these exchanges are largely cash and carry and no futures. What is the price? But they're using the stupidity of our suppression against us. They're wise to the game and they're using it against us until there's no more blood to be drained from the system. And then you'll see that switch happen. That's the all at once moment. It's the little by little, then suddenly the little by little is happening right now in front of us.
Did we discuss, I don't remember, it was the last podcast that we did. Had Florida passed the bill already? I don't know if it did. I can't recall.
Maybe.
Because that's a big that's big. I mean, Florida being really the first real large state to have the sound money initiative now passed into law is a huge.
Except
huge
the way they wrote it is really stupid. And
it's kind of like ambiguous. We're not really sure
well,
yet. I think it'll.
I met with Daniel Diaz the other day. He has said he would try to get me on a panel up in Tallahassee to discuss this with the state legislature because, for example, I walked into the room to chat with him. He said, Andy, it's way worse than I thought it was. He said, anything American is good for legal tender. Think of what Jim Sinclair said. So gold eagles, buffaloes, gold buffaloes, silver eagles, any of the American coins legal tender are acceptable for all debts, public and private. Yeah, all of that. Mm-hmm. But he said that the way the law is written, in an interview I did with him and Dunnigan Kaiser at Liberty and Finance, he said that the bars, you can do bars, but they can't have any markings other than the weight and the purity and the name of the refiner. And so I said, well, geez, all of the bars that Costco has been selling, the Lady Fortuna bars, well, those are out because there's an image on it. Mm-hmm. When I walked in the other day to do this video that we were doing for the History Channel, you got to stop it for once. I mean, just for once. Don't bark. Thank you. So anyways, he said it's worse than I thought. He said the bars can have 0 markings, including the name of the refiner. Like Valcambi wouldn't work. It can only say the weight and the fineness. He said it can't even have a serial number. I said, well, that might be the dumbest thing I've ever heard. Yeah. Every single one of the bars is out. So they need to tweak it. The way it is right now, pretty much the only thing that would be used would be American legal tender coins, like the Eagle or the Buffalo or pre-65 or any of that stuff. It's still very early. The laws and the changes and the comments have to be submitted by November 1st.
Well, what I think needs to happen before anything, the biggest problem I think that we have is the fact that we're still getting taxed on.
This is who's making all the noise.
The capital gains tax on metal still as a collectible is just perhaps the dumbest.
Yeah.
Thing that's out there. I mean, do you think that the government, the federal government, will start to change that so that the capital gain on metals is going to be commensurate to that of whether it's equities, bonds?
Well, they sure should. I mean, especially since it's been issued by the U.S. Mint. That's the way the law is written here in Florida. And the interesting thing about it would be if it's used in commerce, there is no capital gains. Right. So, yeah, I mean, Senator Mooney from West Virginia talked about that, tried to introduce a bill. It should be. It really should be. And hopefully it will be. I guess we'll have to see. But
as you were talking about junk, this question came up that I wanted to kind of address. Jay Underwood asks, I've seen a couple of dealers' channels mention that they are selling junk below spot and the smelters are inundated with melting it. Any thoughts?
Well, we're selling it right now at 99 cents over spot. I could see dealers who, like small coin shops who don't have the ability like we do to hedge and don't have the volume business that we do, may bring it to a refiner and melt it down. They're buying it back from the public at under spot for sure at that rate.
Oh, yeah.
So it wouldn't surprise me to see that happen. That's a shame because during the 2020, 21, 22, 23 premiums on pre-65 were higher than anything but silver eagles.
Yeah, I mean, look, I think right now, junk at $1 over is probably one of the best values that we have out there. Yeah. I mean, no doubt about it. I mean,
it is the best value, period, in silver.
Especially since, this is a fixed, finite amount that is out there.
Well, according to this, it's a decreasing amount because they're getting melted down.
Well, even still, but I mean, there was a time that we weren't able to get our hands on any more of the junk.
Well, that's how it happens. Yeah. Again, I mean, it hasn't been made since 1964. Right. So you're talking 60 years at minimum that it's been out of circulation, out of production anyway. Yeah. So yeah, it's to me, there isn't a better value, especially at these prices, period.
Agreed.
Is that, click on Mixed Nuts. I think I know who that is. Let me see the picture.
Yeah, it is. It's there.
What's his name, Andy?
Who?
Guy who brought.
Yeah, that's he wants me to come on his radio podcast.
Andy,
I
you
told
owe
him
Phil and I guess the
I
parents
will
owe him.
come on. I'll come on. He's a nice guy.
Have you seen, by the way, and I don't want to
know.
get off topic, but
Yep.
Ron's basement, is he back on silver now? Because of what happened with the unicorn fart dust?
I don't know.
Because I've been seeing, I get alerts on everything, and now I think he's maybe back to silver.
Well, I wouldn't begrudge him for it.
No, I think something happened maybe with the unicorn.
Well, I know that he
fart dust.
lost.
Right.
He got hacked, and then the community
right
gave
made
him
it
back
whole.
tokens. And made
But I
him
don't know if the unicorn fart dust coin, whatever it is, I have no idea what it's priced at, but yeah, Ron, if you are, welcome back. Love to have
I
you
like
back.
Ron.
You and him have a thing in common.
What?
The unicorn dust.
Yeah, Kevin's name is the unicorn.
Yeah.
I like
Tattoo.
Ron. He's a
Yeah.
cool guy, actually.
Yeah, nice guy, and he's in the basement.
I used to be in the basement in Minnesota. It was my favorite place to be. No one would find me. It was
Yeah.
great.
I always.
But it was like a man cave. I had a great basement.
So
You can go
yeah,
back into the basement.
Chris's concert corner said he traded all my gold for silver at the take home ratio of 100 to 1, increased my silver holding drastically. Chris, I did something very similar. That was the day I actually called Andy that day, and in my life, I don't think I've ever caught like the bottom of anything, unless I usually caught the bottom for a day, and then the next day it would go down another 10, 20%, 30%. I might still be holding some of it. That day, I actually swapped out a bunch of gold. And it was the day that Trump announced the tariffs. And I called you, and I called one of our facilities, and yeah, I swapped out
here's how it happens.
about 10 ounces of gold for silver.
In 2010, it was 85 to 1, and we started doing BRICS. We and I did some podcasts on it, and it was the second time in history ever that it had gotten that high. Within 7 months, it was 37 to 1, $50 silver and 1915 gold in 2011. Anyone who would have traded 85 ounces of gold for 1 ounce of silver would have needed 37 ounces 7 months later. The market has a way of staying irrational, as they say, can stay irrational longer than people can stay solvent. So it will find its way back to its historical average, which is still 6 times higher than its geologic ratio right now. Hang on, it will come.
Yeah.
Look, the thing of it is this, is that the central banks have been buying far more gold than they have silver. And that's really the issue, that they haven't bought silver the way that they have gold. And because big money is instead of going into treasuries, it's going into a place like gold, where it doesn't take the volume that silver does. But I believe that we are now seeing a transition where these same countries are understanding that platinum and silver are just as important on a strategic basis as anything. And they're now moving and focusing their attention on those metals as well.
Okay. Derek McClure wants to know, when the question of numismatics comes up, why only bring up the pre-33 gold? Why no love for pre-21 and 1904
I
silver
have
mortgages?
huge love for them.
Love.
I have tons of them.
He loves them.
I do.
Favorite.
And I've given almost everyone that I golf with here at the club.
Yep.
One
That's
of
their
them.
ball market.
Yeah, and I love them. I should say them. I should talk about them. The pre-04 Morgans, I think, are some of the coolest coins ever. And I prefer them over Silver Eagles, if you want to know the truth. But they have high premiums. That's why I don't talk about them as much, because the idea is to get the biggest amount of value you possibly can, while at the same time not being penny wise and pound foolish. And I think a Silver Eagle is a better value than a Morgan dollar, but I probably I don't know. I have a lot of them and I love them. And if I had my choice, I would own Morgans over Eagles.
Yeah, well, I have a client that owns a lot of Morgans, but he could have owned and should have owned twice as many, because he paid $58 for his Morgans and his piece. But that was when gold was at 18.
Yeah, it depends. They make them in certified grades too.
Yeah, these are AUs.
Yeah, that's
these
too
are
much.
just
That's just too
you
much.
know where it's coming from.
Yep.
Father Duck just put this out. Andy, Kevin, Trump just abruptly left the G7 in Canada. Back to the White House situation room. Expect metals to jump tomorrow morning. Major strike on Iran coming.
Yeah, he's telling everyone to
leave Tehran.
He's warning everyone to leave.
Yeah.
Leave Tehran. And I was watching 2CTV. I think it's TUS. Guy's really cool guy. He's an Iranian. He was born in Iran. He lives in the UK. He's very smart. And he was more or less saying that most of the ruling elite in Iran have left the country, that we're very close to a regime change, that the people in Iran, even some of the guard, their military is not radical Islamic, that this is a small group of people that have been in power for a long time, and that the people really are more progressive and given the opportunity to, like the way they treat women as an example, given an opportunity to live in a more free society, that it would be embraced. One of the places that Israel has hit today was the television station that once they say that when this radical sect took over for the Shah, that it started with the TV and the radio and all of the information. And of course, they cut off all internet. They don't want their people being exposed to Western democratic ideas. And so maybe this can end in a way, hopefully without more bloodshed, where we get a regime change, and the people in Iran, which, if you think about it, historically are an amazing culture, one of the oldest in the world, that there'll be peace in the Middle East. Let's hope, because without being political on any side, no one wants to see war.
Yes. Let's see, I'm going to get to this one in a second.
Can you just say hi to Ivan, Andy?
Where's Ivan? Who's Ivan?
From Wall Street Silver.
I just did a video with him.
He's on.
Hi, Ivan. How are you, buddy? I was just on with Ivan, Wall Street Silver. Ivan is a great guy, and I'm glad to be back on Wall Street Silver. And now that he's running the ship, it's a pleasure and an honor to be there. Ivan, you're a good man. No, the issue is the central banks have unlimited money and buy gold. They could be buying silver to stockpile smartly, but don't. Why? Some of them are. Russia is now. I believe India is. And India has done so quietly. Have imported, by my estimations and stuff I've read, between 8 and 900 million ounces over the last 5 years. China is secretly. I did an interview with Sean Kuhn from Dolly Varden, who said, Andy, they're flying all over Latin America buying doré and concentrate. Well, they do that to disintermediate the market. They do that so that no one knows how much they're buying. If the second largest producer in the world is going around and buying sludge and crudely refined doré bars directly from the miners instead of buying it off of the exchanges, they're doing it for a reason. And then shipping it back to refine it, they're doing it for a reason. And so who's buying all the silver that's been delivered into COMEX over the past several months? So maybe they are, Ivan, maybe it's time that they actually are. I'm not sure who it is, but I think it's on the radar screen now of the central banks. They realize that it's strategic. It's not as industrial as we are led to believe it is, but it's more strategic in an asset that is depleting geologically and increasing in uses in a digital world, in a world that uses high-tech weapons, in a world that needs silver for its conductivity properties and principles. Silver's time is coming. It is. And I know it sucks to hear that and to wait, and the little boy who cried wolf.
Yeah, it might suck for Eminem, but it doesn't suck for everyone out there.
Look, it's coming, and you just need to have strong faith. The Chinese, in my mind, and that's what Eric Young said, are stockpiling for future generations. They are doing this. The theory is that there are banks, like in particular HSBC Bank, that suppresses the price on COMEX, which is used to set the price globally, and then they go all around the world and take physical possession on non-price setting venues, so that they, in essence, are stealing it. They're subsidizing their purchases. This game will end. It will end because the demand for physical silver and for physical gold is overwhelming the ability and the intellect, the wisdom of being naked short to the degree that they are. It's coming to an end. Trust me.
Right, we got one.
So somebody, the same guy from Wall Street Silver, said, do you really think Ivan is smart enough to ask a question like that? Is that not Wall
No,
Street
it's probably
Silver?
not. That's funny. I don't, hey, look, Ivan's a good dude. The guy that he used to work with, Jim, isn't a good dude. Jim's not there anymore, and Ivan is, and he's a good guy. I don't know how smart he is to ask any question, but I enjoyed my conversation with him tonight. That I can
Mark
tell you.
Sanhilaire, what's doing, Mark? We did some work for Mark and helped him out of a situation. Him and Stacy, one of Stacy's. So Mark wants to know the new changes to the 1099 reporting for
You can
purchasing and
take
selling
this one. You
silver.
know it.
So it was kind of an update that came in really in December of 24, but it all is based on the Commodities Future Trading Commission, and I'll read it to you the way that it's stated as per the IRS. And really the important one that you need is the sales. We don't report anything on the buy side unless it's in if it's greater than $10,000 in actual greenback cash or money orders.
When you purchase.
Yeah, when you purchase. The sales is a different story, but now
Cash, he's talking.
cash, actual greenbacks
Not
and
a
money
check
order.
or a wire.
Correct. No checks, no wires. So this is the way it reads now. A sale of precious metals that is an accepted sale is not subject to information reporting. A sale of precious metal in a form that may be used to satisfy a CFTC approved regulated futures contract is an accepted sale, provided the quantity of the precious metal sold is less than the minimum amount needed to satisfy CFTC approved regulated futures contract. A sale of precious metal in any other form than which may be used to satisfy CFTC approved regulated futures contract is an accepted sale. As this lays out, then we're talking about, just to kind of get to what it is. Let me just get to it. So in essence, the reportable item, if it's a gold bar, needs to be a minimum of 0.999995 fineness, and it needs to be greater than or equal to 1 kilo, which is 32.15 ounces. That's the minimum reportable amount. Silver bars, minimum fineness is 0.999, greater than or equal to 1,000 troy ounces. But these were the old, because now I believe it needs to be in 1,000-ounce bars.
I don't think so.
Well, here, look, the monumental update. This is it. Under the current set of CFTC precious metals futures contracts, all settlable contracts must be settled with precious metal bars in form from approved brands. This is the, here, now this is the new specifications, which is in for gold. It's got to be 100 troy ounces.
Which is what it is on COMEX.
Correct. That's the CFTC. It's either 100 troy ounce bar or 3 kilos. So that's the new 1099 reporting for gold is either 100 troy ounces or 3 gold kilos. Still fineness is 0.995. Silver contract size is 5,000 ounces or greater, and it needs to be in 1,000-ounce troy bars, is what it was.
So they've revised it again.
This is the latest revision, yeah. Platinum is 50 troy ounces. Plates or ingots with no individual piece weighting less than 10 troy ounces. Minimum fineness is 0.9995, and palladium is 100 troy ounces. So it needs to be accepted in by the CFTC in settlement form.
Yeah, so
That's it.
Most everything won't trigger it anymore.
Correct. And now, especially silver-wise, it's going to be in 1,000-ounce bars. So those are the things that have been updated. And it was actually updated before, but it was really never, it wasn't even known. It was kind of like a hidden update that no one
It
was
used
ever.
to be any bars of any size in gold that
32.15,
right.
and then anything over 25 gold maples, 25 gold Grugrands, or 25 Mexican Anzas.
So those aren't even reportable anymore?
No. According to this, no. It needs to be 100 ounces, and it needs to be in
We
with
need,
gold.
we need to
get
have
that
a
clarity.
discussion on that.
Yeah, but it's saying, because again, it has to be accepted in by the CFTC, and that, look, in gold, there's nothing even mentioned about
coins.
These specifications rule out all gold bullion names, namely the previously listed maple leafs, Grugrands, and Anzas.
Wow.
Yeah.
Send that to everyone in our office.
Yeah,
That's all brand new.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's good news.
Yeah, it is. It's great. So, in essence, unless you're really buying the larger quantity metals, what we used to as a dealer have to report, no longer do we. Chris Scarpino. Let's go to Chris Scarpino. Did we do this already?
Could you discuss U.S. debt and whether there might be a payment crisis later this year? How might a devaluation impact precious metal? I mean, the dollar is being devalued. That is what is happening in essence. It's down over 10% this year. And there is a U.S. debt crisis. You know, everyone talks about 37 trillion and forgets about Medicare and Social Security and Medicaid and the pensions and retirement plans of the government, amongst other things. I always say, you know, a trillion seconds ago was 31,688 years ago. The numbers are too big. It is a debt crisis. It's a debt crisis because at the same time you have a waning demand for our debt, for our treasuries. And that's why you are seeing the Federal Reserve come in and buy $48 billion worth of treasuries 2 weeks ago quietly, which they don't call QE. That's why you've seen the Treasury 2 weeks in a row do $10 billion buybacks, the largest in history ever, of their longer maturity treasuries by issuing short maturity, selling short-term debt to buy back long-term debt. It's not a good policy, and it's done because there is no demand for our longer-term maturity debt. And if there's any type of war that the U.S. got dragged into, long-term treasury debt is always the first casualty of war. No one wants to hold that. Yeah, I think that is something that we could see happen.
And Big wants to know if you're thinking of hosting a gold talk fireside chat this summer.
It's too hot.
Yeah, it's hot to light a fire.
Well, he'll be at the Rick Roll conference. We'll be doing that this summer. We're going to try and have Andy not work as hard this summer, I think.
That'd be great.
I think we're going to try to.
Try to do that.
Andy needs to work on his golf game.
Yeah, shut up, man.
By the way, that was the first time, how long have we been on? 1 hour and 6 minutes. I haven't made fun of you at all today. That was the first time. And that wasn't even really making fun of you.
It's all good.
Yeah, and then, all right. This one we get. I feel like we get asked this question like almost every week. Can you leave the U.S. via air travel with metals without declaring?
Down to a 9.2.
That's true.
Better.
Yes. Lee Glass wants to know: can you leave the United States via air travel with metals without declaring, as long as you're under 10K? How best to not have it confiscated, assuming destination is not a corrupt country?
How about this one? You can leave the United States with as much metal as you can carry without declaring it legally. It is not the leaving of the country where you declare it. It's the entering of the country. That's right.
So here's what I'm going to ask you. What we always discuss, and if you are leaving the United States with 100 gold eagles, right?
Mm-hmm.
What is that considered valuation-wise when you arrive to another country?
Depends where you're going, but
if you went to Canada,
$5,000.
If you went to China,
I wouldn't try it.
Right, and you wouldn't want to get that confiscated.
You'd have to declare it. I mean, and look, you can go into any of these countries and just declare it and not worry about it.
I mean, but the truth is, the face value of the 100 coins is $5,000.
Mm-hmm.
But you don't necessarily want to go to a country and have.
You don't want to find out the hard way.
Yeah, that's a real hard way.
Yeah. I mean, I told this story a few weeks ago about my experience in doing this.
Yeah.
Both in Montreal and Vancouver.
Right. But those are, that's Canada, where it's not something that you were really worrying too much about. Let's just see, because I am actually really hungry. So
we got time for two more.
All right. So here, why don't we go to this one? David Cernigal. Andy, do you see metals becoming nationalized? And if so, what's that look like when it comes to buying and selling?
I could see them nationalizing GLD and SLV, which is owned by or administered by BlackRock and JP Morgan. And then look the world in the face and say, what? We didn't do anything. We just closed these two funds. You can still buy physical gold. I think it would be checkmate if the government confiscated gold again. And the difference is in 33, everyone owned it. It was legal tender. Everyone owned it. It was money. Everyone owned it. Now, no one owns it. All of you who own gold are the pimple on the elephant's ass. The elephant has no idea. And so it would be counterproductive globally, I think, to do that. So instead, you have two funds that say specifically you can't take possession of it unless you can take possession of a basket, which is God knows how many millions. And that's commercial banks that funded it. You and me? No. They close it. They give you your money back. It's in your money market. Go buy physical, they say. Now they can have their cake and eat it too. So no, in this country, I do not believe it will be nationalized or confiscated. I could see mining shares if it really got crazy. I mean, I could visualize it. Would it happen? I doubt it. That's why you buy mining shares, or if you do, and they're really starting to look attractive now in jurisdictions where you don't worry about that, in particular Canada and the US. But could it happen? I guess desperate governments do desperate things. Let's hope not. I think it's checkmate if it does. Why are you crying?
All right, let's just go one more because I think this is a good one to. Ooh, it's just.
She makes me hold her
I know,
nonstop.
but you almost just dropped
I
it.
wouldn't drop her.
Andy, I'm curious what your thoughts are on people like Peter Schiff and George Gammon.
They're both very, very smart guys. They're smart. Peter. I follow Peter closely.
I
He's
follow
very
Peter.
smart
I follow
guy.
his Twitter
and,
too.
And I follow George. He's a smart dude. I mean, I
follow Peter Schiff's Twitter.
Peter is a smart guy. I think he's a lightning rod for sure, certainly to the Bitcoin community.
Yeah.
And therefore comes across maybe he's different in public. I mean, in person than he is his public persona. I give him credit. He sticks to his beliefs and he's not afraid to do it. He went to the Bitcoin conference. I mean, take your life in your hands. Peter Schiff going to the Bitcoin conference, and he stood there and stood his ground. I respect him. We're very different people. He's a brilliant guy, period. He is. And so is George.
Who do you think? Who would you say that in the industry would be the guy who you most respect?
Rick Rule, hands down. And he's done more for my career than anyone in this industry. I've worked with Rick's clients for 25 years since he was the CEO of Global Resource, which was long before Sprott. I owe him a lot. He's done a lot for me.
And Rickards?
Rickards is different. Rickards is smarter than most.
He's a smart guy.
He's worked for the CIA in simulating war games. But I don't think he's done as much for the industry by a long shot as Rick has. But Jim Rickards, I respect for his intellect and his connections.
He is.
But it's an easy one for me. For me, it's easy. It's
Rick Rule.
It's Rick.
Yeah.
Doug Casey's is up there too. He's done a lot for the industry as well, or for people who listen to him. So.
Yeah. All right. Let's see if.
What? Can't see what it says.
Oh, well. Here's the deal. So
let's talk to him.
Ask the question.
So Daryl Wilson wants to know who beating who in golf. I think you mean who is beating who. It's really an easy answer. He's going to say no, but trust me.
Kevin beats me more than I beat him, but in the season-long match where it mattered for the country club, I won and shut him out on the 15th hole.
No.
It doesn't matter.
Hold on. I have to put a caveat in.
What's the caveat?
You
lost when it mattered.
Hold on.
But
do you know what I did that
he's
day?
A lower handicap.
Wait, but what did I do that day?
He's 2 or 3 shots better than me on the handicap. So.
I was moving my mother into an assisted living facility that morning.
If you were, then why were you golfing?
Because it was in the afternoon and it was the only day left that he told me we could play.
Well,
but that's okay. I give him the W.
Yeah.
I give him the W.
That's what when it mattered, I won.
You got it.
But he's a better golfer.
By the way,
he is.
You know when it's going to matter? You know when it matters? Thursday it matters.
Yeah,
Thursday. We're not playing against each other.
We're on the same team.
We are in the playoffs of our intramural.
No, golf's not intramural. It's interclub.
Interclub. There are 12 clubs. We are currently in second or first?
1 point out of first.
Yeah,
but
we had a shitty week last week, but we should have been in first. But it really doesn't make a difference.
We won it last year.
We did win it last year, and this will, I believe,
maybe show a picture.
Will this be the first time that it would be a back-to-back winner if we can pull it off?
No, there have been. I looked on the trophy. There have. You need to stop crying.
But when was the last time there was a back-to-back?
I don't know, but I looked at it.
It was a while ago, though, right?
Yeah. A long time ago.
So if in fact we can pull this off, then Thursday we have our first round.
It was me and Kevin next to each other holding the trophy.
That's it. That was a big win.
Yeah.
Right there.
No, I don't think he did, but Monaco's a good golfer.
Yeah, he's a very good golfer and a sweetheart of a guy.
I had a lot of fun with Monaco.
Sweetheart of a guy. Oh, look at this one.
Oh my God, stop crying.
Wait, Drew's saying that the tattoo looks like the voodoo doctor sitting in the waiting room in the movie Beetlejuice. But I love that. I love that. I love self-deprecation. It's wonderful. Well, thank you, Drew. I appreciate the comment.
What are you going to say to this guy?
Who? Which guy?
That went-
Golf is gay men chasing after balls. Let me tell you something. I played sports. I played semi-pro softball into my 40s. I went to play baseball at the University of Minnesota, not for very long till I hurt myself. I used to play basketball 4 days a week. I ski to this day 4 or 5 times out west. Sports defined my life, and I was always fairly decent at sports. I will tell you that golf is by far the hardest game I've ever played in my life. Nothing has tormented me the way
it's not, and it is not just the physicality of it. It is grueling mentally because your talent, your physical capability is all there. No matter what.
It's between your ears.
It's between the ears that's what changes. And it changes by the second.
Mm-hmm.
It is very difficult. And then to keep your composure. I mean, if you take a tournament like we just watched yesterday,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, like when we watch these, people that play golf understand how difficult, really difficult it is to do what these guys do. And then the conditions that they do it. And then when you add in wind and you add in so many factors, it is, and by the way, there's no one to blame.
It's funny, my wife now plays, and she used to watch golf and say, "Oh my God, how can they miss that?" But now she'll tell you it's the most ridiculously hard game. You know why they call it golf? Because all the other 4-letter words.
That is true. That is true.
I need to go eat my dinner, man.
So do I.
I'm about ready to pass out.
All right, listen. So we are going to, we're announcing it that we're going to move to Monday. Z, yes?
I think so.
All right, so we're going to move it to Monday. Jack will put something out on all of our social media, letting you know when on Monday, but it will be on Monday, most likely.
Swing. That's funny.
Huh?
I honk when golfers swing.
Most likely it's going to be because he had, what do you have something Monday night, right?
Do I?
What do you have Monday night that you said you wanted to do it earlier?
Well, no, just during football season.
Yeah,
I like to watch.
Yeah, that's fine.
Fantasy
But
football.
so right now we'll see, because then we have to be in the office.
But that's not until September.
I know, but do you want to be in the office all day and then stay there? In
Gives
the
us
office?
Excuse to
I'm
go to
fine.
happy hour.
Well,
We could go to happy hour and then come back.
We can go to Houston's and then
Yeah.
come back. Okay, so 8 o'clock.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're going to set it now. We're going to do Monday.
How about 7?
Monday, 7:30. It's going to be either 7 or 8 or sometime in between, but we will announce it. We will put it on the social media. We will not let you down. It will be from a different location than what you're seeing now, but I do think that you're going to enjoy it
Crazy.
immensely. It will be very different than what you're used to seeing. No guitars. I don't think there's no guitars there, right? Oh, and there goes the hat. And there it goes. And he did it. Yeah. And I think he just had an accident on my head. It might happen. But I appreciate everyone out there. Thank you for coming in, coming on.
Say goodbye.
Yes. Say goodbye. Next week, Monday, we'll put it out there. Hit the like button, smash it, tell your friends to sign up. How many?
Follow.
Yes, you have to follow. How many are we right now, by the way?
We are, I'll tell you in 1 second.
Because I think Jana we might need to do another giveaway
Oh God, please.
because she
Although
so loves it.
Although I did bring everything to the office.
So that's easier. How many are we at?
We
40.
are at 42,610.
So I think that we'll save it for 50,000. 50,000 is a big number.
Yeah.
So we need your help. We need your help to get to 50,000. So we're less than 8,000 away, but we need your help. Tell all your friends, your family, your enemies to tune in. We're going to open their eyes, and we will see you then. How did I forget that? I asked if you had any. In any case, love being here with you. We will see you on Monday night. Ciao. Au revoir.